Hoover, all right, has gotten not pardoned but commuted. And I like to know what shit means. What does it mean to commute a sentence? Commuting a sentence is an important aspect of the criminal justice system, allowing for the reduction of a punishment's severity without overturning the conviction. So now my understanding, he's doing like federal charges and shit. So let me just see what this news clip got to say real quick. All right, about my man Larry Hoover, whose name became infamous because of Rick Ross.
News: he was once one of the most notorious gangsters in Chicago. Tonight, President Trump is commuting the federal sentence of
Let me say something now. She look alright right there, man. She look alright.
Gangster Disciples co-founder Larry Hoover.
Suzanne Lemonnier is in our newsroom. Suzanne, this move doesn't mean he'll be getting out of prison.
Erica, Joe, legal experts see this as a potential hollow victory. Now, while Hoover may be released from federal prison, he still has a 200-year state sentence, for which a parole board has already denied early release. In 1993, Hoover spoke to former CBS News Chicago reporter John Davis, and at that time, Hoover was 42 years old and had already served 20 years in prison.
I've done my time. I paid my debt to society.
That was Larry Hoover, more than 3 decades ago. At that time, the leader of the Gangster Disciples and convicted murderer told our John Davis he had a lot of time to think about ways to stop the gang violence on the streets of Chicago.
One teenager don't like the other teenager because the way he wears his hat, because his ideology is different from his. A disciple don't like a vice lord. We all black people. It's no different.
At that time, Hoover, also known as King Larry, admitted being part of a fragile gang truce in the city and organizing a protest over plans to close healthcare clinics in African-American neighborhoods. Ron Safer, the lead prosecutor in Hoover's federal trial, reacts to news Hoover's life sentence has been commuted by President Trump.
I was disappointed. I do not think that this is an appropriate end to the Larry Hoover story, at least the federal part of it.
Safer says Hoover was perhaps the most notorious criminal the state of Illinois has ever known.
Notorious.
He was an enterprise that had...
Notorious. Let me pause that, yo. You know, that's sad. That deserves a shocking sound effect. Notorious? More notorious than the one Al Capone, Scarface. Let me get so some of y'all who don't know, Al Capone, where the term Scarface comes from the scar, hence the scar on his face. That's a mean $1.50 for my New Yorkers. That's a mean $1.50 right there. The niggas gave him the $1.50. All right, y'all talking about he's more infamous than Al Capone. Let's dive into this, man, because they love to do shit like this. Larry Hoover's charges. What was Larry Hoover's charges? All right. Drug kingpin. Let's see. What did Larry Hoover do? Let's see. What did he do? Okay, he's got a big ass picture of fucking Spike Lee. Jackson, Mississippi, 1950. Come on, here we go again with some more bullshit. What is all this bullshit now? All right. Hoover was shit. I have to get off this damn website. God damn. Yeah, these niggas is trying they best is to advertise some shit. Larry Hoover was born in Jackson, 1950, which makes him which makes him about 74 or 75. In 1973, Hoover was convicted of ordering the murder of a 19-year-old Ricky Pookie Young, who was shot 6 times and killed in an alley. He was sentenced to 150 years in the Illinois State Prison. For that, there's niggas that got first. Forget it. So what was he, 23 years old? While serving that sentence, Hoover was later indicted on federal charges in 1995 following a long-term investigation. He was convicted in 1997 of conspiracy, extortion, money laundering, drug trafficking, and operating a continuing criminal enterprise. All right. So Conspiracy comes with being a drug dealer. Extortion comes with being a drug dealer. Money laundering, you guessed it. Drug trafficking and operating a criminal enterprise. So those are what he's convicted of, right? Now let's get what Al Capone was charged. Al Capone was charged with, right? All right, let's see. Let's see. What was Al Capone charged with? Al Capone was charged with gambling, prostitution, bootlegging, bribery, narcotics trafficking, robbery, protection rackets, and murder. All right. Looks similar. I mean, Larry Hoover is missing the he's missing the gambling, the prostitution, the bootlegging, the bribery, but protection rackets, which is the shakedown. But if I'm confused, if I'm wrong, I'm not trying to see the lesser of two evils here, but Al Capone, this is like a legendary drug figure. He is idolized by that community that he comes from. Al Capone has movies, literally numerous movies about him. Numerous movies about him. Like, these are just documentaries right here. Like, movies. Like 10 gangster movies about Al Capone you should try next. Scarface, 1932. He was still alive in 1932. This nigga had a movie made about him when he was still alive. To call Larry Hoover the most notoriously, or whatever the fuck he said, over Al Capone is fucking laughable. This nigga had movies about him when he was still alive. Like, how many movies does Larry Hoover have about him? Now, of course, movies doesn't make a person more notorious than the other, but that just tells you how infamous Hoover Story House 9, it's a documentary. You know how many? There's probably over 100 documentaries on Al Capone. So I don't want to hear that mumbo jumbo. Don't want to hear that mumbo jumbo. All right, this man was 23 years old when he got locked up. All right. Hoover. Let's see some images of Larry Hoover real quick. Alright. Alright. There's right there. That's definitely the 90s. Is that Jay Prince right there? That's what it looks like. I don't know who that man is right here. It looked like Jay Prince. No, he was out here. There's pictures of him with all kinds of perms too. Larry Hoover mugshot. Nigga had all kinds of perms. Look at this shit. 60. That's 68. So what was he? 18 years old. 18. He got a shitload of mugshots. So that's possibly what he looked like when he was